Welcome back to Across the Board. My name is Khalid Gray.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Cohen Parker, and if you see these two, I think y'all know what time it is.
I think you do know what time it is. It is the Final Four season, guys. Tonight is the big game. We have UConn versus UCLA, and we have South Carolina playing, who is it again? I'm just kidding. But anyway, we have South Carolina beating out really anybody that they play. They've been dominant this whole season. Don has been doing a phenomenal job with these girls. I mean, I don't think I should continue to keep going into the reason why. I mean, they're going to beat Texas.
Right.
I don't think that's.
Well, I don't know.
They're going to beat Texas. I don't think Texas has the clientele like Don does. But
I got faith in them.
Yeah.
Them the Lady Longhorns, man.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Faith without works is what? Amen. So let's continue on to this next part. We have, so we're going to go dive right into the first final. Oh, yeah, we also have men's Final Four tomorrow. Oh, yeah. We have Duke going against
Houston?
Yeah, against
Cougs,
Houston, which is honestly one of the best defensive
You guys
teams.
are saving my bracket.
Saving his
goodness.
bracket. Absolutely saving his bracket. I honestly did not have them getting to the Final Four. They've sucked these last couple of years and have got bounced in the eight.
Not too much on Houston, man. Shoot.
And we're going to continue this Houston slander.
Yeah,
but
stop
LJ
it.
Cryer had 5 points, shot 35% last game, but we'll get into that. We also have Florida going up against Auburn. We have two SEC teams still in this game going.
Yeah,
so
SEC going wild.
SEC has been going phenomenal this season.
Yeah.
I think we should understand. I think it was what was it? Sweet 16. It was like 7 of them in there. 7 of them in there. So it's a lot of talent in the SEC. SEC basketball is now back. They're not only dominating the football scene, but they're also dominating basketball. So let's dive into the first matchup. Do you want to introduce the first matchup?
So the first matchup was the 30-8 Tennessee Volunteers going up against the 34-4 Houston Cougars. This took place in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And going off for Tennessee, they had 50 points throughout the whole game. Chaz Lanier, number 2, he had 17 points. 7 for the free throw. That's 100%. Good job, dude. However, he only made.
I'm waiting for the however.
He only made. He only made 2 3-point shots, which is 6 points.
Let's focus on that point total real quick.
Yeah.
Let's focus on that point total. I think that tells the whole story about where we're gonna bridge the gap between Duke and all of them. So
yeah. Zakai Ziegler, he had 5 points, but he did go off last game. But he did have the most points. I mean, the most minutes in the game. So it's kind of unfortunate. But Jordan Gainey, number 11, scored 17 points. Also perfect from the free throw. 40% from the 3-point and 50% from the field goal. So how do you think Tennessee played overall? What do you think they were missing?
Well, I think one of the biggest things when facing this Houston defense, I mean, Houston they're like gnats. You know, you can't get rid of them. So when you think about just how electric their defense is and how they're built to switch, Jawan Roberts stands at 6'9". He's a forward play center. I think, going against Duke is going to pose some problems defensively, despite them having the motor that they do have. I do think size is going to play a huge part in this. Honestly, I do believe that when going up against this Tennessee team, I definitely expected Tennessee to play a lot better. I did not expect Tennessee to get blown out by 20 points, especially after the BTA they put on Kentucky the previous game.
Right.
16. I definitely think that going into this matchup, the Volunteers were not expecting this much energy going, from Houston, but now that you've mentioned, before you mentioned Houston, I do want to get into the game prior, the Sweet 16 matchup against Purdue. They ended up winning by 2 points.
Oh my goodness! Right? Did you see the last 2 points? That was a great game. Last 2 seconds.
Game.
Yeah,
that was a phenomenal game.
Oh my goodness!
Usman,
man.
I think I'm pronouncing.
That's what March Madness is all about, ladies and gentlemen.
Madness.
Oh my goodness!
Madness.
So mad.
But
I'm happy though.
He played exceptionally well that game. I think watching him play in the absence of LJ Cryer, I know we mentioned at the beginning of the show, LJ Cryer only had 5 points, shot 35% from the field. 2 for 13 is questionable, but this is LJ Cryer. He is still LJ Cryer, and we'll get into his stat totals for that for that game as well. But that Purdue team did put a lot of pressure on them. Now, granted, Purdue, I was telling people Purdue is the perfect matchup for UH. I think Purdue is electric on defense as well, but they also have quality scorers as well to kind of complement their defense. But Houston is so dynamically strong when it comes to defense and their ability to utilize Emmanuel Sharp, who is their sharpshooter. I know in their most recent game he shot 4 for 10, knocked down 4 threes, which is important for this Houston defense. I mean, this Houston offense to be able to stretch the floor, be able to open up shots for LJ Cryer, to get the paint open for Jawan Roberts and their other bigs to be able to operate down low. I think that was very important. But for that Volunteers game, I think everything just went right for them. You know, let's get into what LJ was doing.
But before I had to ask that, there was plenty of speculations that Houston has gotten bailed out by the refs in the Purdue and Houston game, and I just wanted you to explain why do they think that, or are they totally false?
Well, when you think about the idea of getting bailed out, I mean, we can't say they got bailed out. Both teams shot 12. I mean, Houston shot 11 free throws. Purdue shot 12. We can't say that either team got more calls, but I will say, this is for everybody that's watching this show, that Usman push-off did not get called. That is the only, that and some other plays, I believe personally, were the reasons why Houston was able to get an extra life. You know, you play Mario, you fall under, you fall under, think you're dead, but
you get that green mushroom.
You get that green mushroom, and they definitely had a few of those. But that's not the reason why Purdue lost. I think Purdue lost because they didn't give a little bit. They didn't have as offensively sound of a star player. I'll say that. Okay. Purdue last year, they had Zach Edey. The years prior, they also had Jaden.
He went all the way.
Their whole offense was centered around the Zach Edey low post offense, but they also had Jaden Ivey, who plays for the Pistons now. Great co-star to Cade Cunningham, but I believe that Purdue this year, despite having quality players at the point guard position, they definitely did not have the offensive output that was needed to go up against the number one team. So I think when you look at that Purdue game, I don't think anybody got bailed out. I think it was the fact that Houston actually was supposed to win this. You know, LJ Cryer, Cryer.
I hope so. You know,
a lot of people did hope
brackets.
So, for the sake of the brackets. But I definitely believe that LJ Cryer having an off game and still being able to pull out a win against a very nice defensively sound team in Purdue definitely speaks monuments to what Houston is as a program. I know Coach Sampson has been phenomenal job. With
historical,
team.
Man.
Even with Jamal Shead.
Inspirational.
Even with Jamal Shead, who now plays for the Toronto Raptors. Great pick. Quentin Grimes actually went to UH as well, but we'll get into that a little later.
All right.
But let's move on to their matchup.
Okay.
So let's talk about Duke real quick. I have a question for you. Duke has more than just Cooper Flagg.
Right.
They have Con
Knuppel.
I think I'm saying his name correctly.
Yes, you are.
I'm so sorry.
Correct.
But Con Knuppel has been a very nice co-star, and at times even the star. Even the star for Duke. I think he's a very nice pair with Cooper Flagg.
For sure.
So
they do have the most minutes. Cooper Flagg did play 36 minutes, while Knuppel did play 35. So the coach is already going to keep them in the same amount of time. So, I mean, they didn't get all 40. Dang near got all 40 minutes. So they were on a mission for real.
Exactly.
So,
So I think one big thing about this Duke-Houston matchup, when you think of what we're going to expect as far as defensive matchups, I definitely think that Duke has the size. But not only that, I mean, we said that about Tennessee. We thought Tennessee's size would be a match for Duke, but a match for Houston, but obviously something we miscalculated. It's okay. We all make wrong predictions. Everybody's bracket's broken, right? But
zero
brackets are still going on right now. But when we looked at the Volunteers playing against this Houston team, we thought size mattered. And granted, we obviously saw that size is not all that matters in the game of basketball. So you have to have some skill in that too.
Right.
Ziegler obviously did not play great in that matchup as well.
Yeah.
You know, he underperformed greatly, and I think that was the real reason why Houston's defense, the ability to switch Usman, who was playing exceptionally well in that Purdue game. You also have L.J. Cryer, you have Emmanuel Sharp. You have quality players that you can switch onto them. They also have bigs that I've seen switch onto guards. So I think this Houston-Duke matchup is going to be one for the ages to watch. We are going to quickly, and very briefly touch on the Auburn versus Florida matchup. I think, and we'll be very quick, and we're going to move on to, the women's Final Four and make sure we cover that.
Right.
But when we go into this Auburn versus Florida matchup, I honestly do not see Florida taking the win in this, especially after the game against Texas Tech. I definitely do not believe that Houston has enough firepower. I don't believe Florida has enough firepower. Walter Clayton Jr., exceptional guard. I saw somewhere that they had Walter Clayton going 29th in a mock draft. I don't believe that. This is a lesser, I'm not going to say a lesser draft class. I take that back. This draft class.
This is creative nonetheless.
Exactly. I don't believe Walter Clayton.
Not creative is the word, but hardworking. These are going to be a whole lot of point scorers.
These are a lot of players that are
NBA.
quality players for NBA rosters. I definitely believe that Walter Clayton Jr. will be a very nice guard in the league, honestly, having that 30-point game. But when you think of just what it means to be in the Final Four, a lot of these teams that we just mentioned, like when you think of Houston, they have a team. Duke has a team. Auburn has a team, but not like Duke and Houston. But they definitely have a bigger team than they do. Not bigger team like physically, but in terms of clientele, in terms of skill, in terms of diversity and how people play. I definitely think that Florida does not have enough to beat Auburn. Petford, I'm saying his name, I pray I say his name correctly, but Petford is the guard pair tandem to Broome, which is their center. So Broome's performance last game.
Good little pick and roll, huh?
Of course. Johnny Broome last game had 25 points. Tahad Petford, he had 10, which is honestly, when you think about that performance, you don't really see him scoring 10 points a game. You see him doing a lot more for the team. But Johnny Broome had, perfect night from the three-point line, had 25 points like I mentioned, was able to grab 14 total rebounds. I mean, the guy had an amazing game, but you also got to understand there's players on this team that can do a lot more than just score the ball. Honestly, Johnny Broome being as solid as he is expected from a player that has been in college basketball for as long as he has.
Right.
I definitely think, like I said, going back to my main point, Walter Clayton Jr. isn't enough for the Florida team to be able to surpass them. Like I said, against that Texas Tech team, only Thomas, his counterpart, him and Walter Clayton Jr. combined for 50 points in total, which really took over a lot of the scoring load for Florida, which honestly cannot happen because Walter Clayton is going to have an off night between these next two games if they end up getting past this Auburn team and then have to play either Houston or Duke. So I definitely think Florida does not have as best of a chance to beat Auburn simply because I don't think they have enough people to be able to carry that scoring load. And I don't think they have a big man that's going to be able to stay in control, stay disciplined to be able to guard Johnny Broome down on that low post because I know he's a low post guy. That he's able to get his spots. He's able to get to his spots in the low post. So I definitely think Florida does not have, like I said, the clientele to be able to guard that as well as Auburn's guards. But
do you think stamina is going to play a role? How do you think Florida's stamina is going? Is it durable? Is it stable during overall of the tournament, or you think it's going to fall?
I definitely think fatigue is going to play a huge part in this. Like I said, Florida doesn't have as quality of a guard, as a backup, like, what Con Knuckle could be for Cooper Flagg, or what Usman can be for L.J. Cryer, what Emmanuel Sharp could be for L.J., vice versa. I don't think they have a nice quality backup guard, as well as, and while we're on the topic of stamina and fatigue, I think J.T. Topping had a phenomenal game. Texas Tech had 38 points in the paint going against that Florida team, so obviously they have whatever they want down low. I don't think Texas Tech honestly I don't think Florida has, like I said and previously mentioned a million times, I don't think they have the clientele to be able to back up that are able to I guess, substitute for the offensive and defensive production that's going to be needed to take down this Auburn team. But we're gonna move on to women's Final
Oh
Four.
my goodness, this is
much
so interesting.
As much as we would love to talk.
South Carolina, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
you're
off.
good. Yeah.
But South Carolina, that
South Carolina's gonna be
is
Texas.
crazy. They're still in there.
Yeah, I don't think we have to dive into that really though, because we already, at least.
They looking like a repeat.
I think it might be a repeat.
Back to back.
Exactly.
Or what Drake say? Back to back. Yeah.
But I definitely do think South Carolina is going to topple this Texas team, despite them fighting for that number 1 spot. I definitely do think that South Carolina just have the players, they have the coach. A lot of things go right for this South Carolina team. There's even been times where we thought that they would lose that number 1 spot, or they would lose in some pretty tight games. And like I said, it's South Carolina.
Yeah, what you gonna say now?
It's South Carolina. So,
don't stop disbelieving.
Exactly.
That's what,
But more pressing, UConn versus UCLA. Now, when you think of this UConn team, you have to talk about Paige. Paige Buckers for the last couple games. I mean, she's been on fire.
Right.
I mean, 31 against Southern California. She had 40 against Oklahoma. That's 70 points between the last few games. So 70 points. Yeah, I said
right,
70
yes.
points. Okay, my math is correct.
About 70.
Cool.
Shoot,
70
close to 80.
71.
Close to 100. Jesus.
But when you think about this UConn team, they have Azzi Fudd. Azzi Fudd is a nice compliment, like we were talking about compliments when it comes to the men's teams. You have to have a good compliment. I think
you have to have a duo.
You have to have a duo, a trio, people that are able to pick up that offense or that defensive slack from their stars, right? Because like we saw with LJ Cryer, off game, but Usman stepped up, did his work, did a phenomenal job offensively, and even defensively was able to anchor the perimeter a little bit to be able to help generate some missed shots from Tennessee. But for this UConn squad, I definitely think that Paige, along with her starry cast, will be a good matchup for UCLA. But However, Ryan Marshall is just one of the players that we're focusing on from this UCLA team. We also have to touch on Lauren Betts, 31 points against Ole Miss. You have to talk about that. They have stars. They have stars on this UCLA team, but not only stars, they have people that have been battle tested. This UCLA team has been in some pretty tough games this season, as well as UConn. But people didn't really see UCLA do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Do a lot of work in recent years, but because we've always heard the competition was either LSU, Iowa, with Caitlin Clark, you had the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, but then UConn with Paige. We really wanted USC to be in this one, but obviously, Juju Watkins injury, so I definitely.
We are praying for you, Juju. Oh my
Juju
goodness, that broke my heart a little bit.
Because and she won AP Player of the Year.
Yeah, right.
And then Cooper Flagg also won AP Player for the men's. But my question to you is, what do you think is going to be the differing factor overall? Do you think it's going to be the coaching? Do you think it's like we just mentioned, the fatigue? Do you think it's the clientele that is able to pick up the offensive and defensive slack? What do you think is going to be the deciding factor in UConn versus UCLA?
Fatigue, because there's gonna be a time where they are making their shots, and it's gonna be a tit for tat. It's gonna be a shootout. I don't think in any Final Four, out of all of both the two games, I don't think it'll be above 10 points. I think it'll just be a nitty gritty for both games, but there will be a time where they will stop shooting threes. No, they will stop making the shots, and it'll come down to our big ladies, getting the rebound, the
extra effort,
the defensive rebound. The defensive rebounds will play a lot. Offensive rebounds will also play a role. If they can get the board and put it back up, that can give them the extra 2 points, in which that could be the 3 or 5 points that are the game winners. Well, not really game winners, but
the things that honestly
the game could be won by 3, and it could be because of the extra put in rebounds. And my dad always said that it's always the free throws. You have to
gotta make free throws.
You gotta make
free
the
throws
free
are
throws,
important.
right?
Free throws are very important.
So when it comes to the game, I think the coaches are doing an amazing job. It's really the coaches. I mean, it's really the players doing what the coaches have told them, and I think that's what's gonna play. It's all about fighting through, and it's a matter of time of who gets tired first, and who's not shoot in their correct shooting form, and I think that's what's going to play a big role.
I definitely agree on the fact that rebounding is going to play a huge part in this. In the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss had 20 offensive rebounds against UCLA. UCLA only was able to really get down 7. So when you think about how important rebounding is, that extra effort honestly kept Ole Miss in the game. I think the big difference between Ole Miss and UCLA is the fact that UCLA just has the better players. They have the better coach. They're here, right? But that effort down the stretch is so important. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. But with that being said, and we really hope you guys got a lot from this.
We really do.
I love breaking down stats. I love looking at numbers. I love being able to kind of like talk about the game. Talk about the game is so fun.
Yeah. But you also learn new things about it too, and it really makes you think.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So, well, I think the final thing we should ask are, what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to win out of the men's tonight? Oh no, tomorrow night. Sorry.
Well, I'm a Houstonian. We've been looking at Houston for years, man. Since in my dad's time, Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. So it's just we gotta.
Respectable.
We need this win. I have Houston winning the championship. I've taken a look at these players, these graduate students. They have the most wins in school history. So we just gotta. The only thing left is that the gold, the first prize. We need that. And Coach Sampson, I can't reiterate enough. You have been doing such a great job. We feel like your coaching is next to being next to the princess.
Some of the greats.
Oh my goodness, royalty for real.
Because we got a little sneak peek of their practice. They were genuinely like jumping on top of each other to get the ball. Like they're a gritty, nice, high energy defensive team. I think that's what separates them from the college, the college realm.
Right.
But I have Duke. So sorry, have Duke. You can't.
I ain't hating.
Her work beats talent. When talent don't, when talent fails, don't work hard. But come on, man. We gotta think. Duke has
man.
The thing.
Tyrese Proctor, it's gonna be a
game.
Woo,
it's gonna be a game.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be a game.
Get your popcorn, get your hot dogs, get your pretzels, get your hamburgers. Call your TT. Make sure she cooking.
Call her, make it an event. Let's do that. Let's say it like that. Make it a household event.
Yeah.
Make it something that y'all sit, throw your feet up. Make some
and it's during the weekend. All the children gonna be out of school.
Sliders, things like that. I think that's how important this game is.
Get you a nap.
Definitely get your nap. But my last question makes it real quick. What is your prediction for UCLA and UConn? What is your prediction?
Somebody's gonna win by 5.
You think it's gonna be a close game?
And it's gonna come down to the free throws. Somebody's going to miss that clutch shot. One of the big ladies I was talking to you about, they're gonna hit that rebound.
Of course.
Dish it back to hopefully a point guard, to shoot that free throw, and they're gonna be chanting MVP,
Bosh. Back out to Allen.
Oh man.
His 3-pointer.
We don't know.
Dang. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
We don't know what's gonna happen. We just don't, and that's the most exciting thing about March. You don't know who's going to outball the next player.
That is true.
The next team.
That is true.
It really doesn't matter about the coaching. It does. Like all the rankings, when the brackets are set, number 1 does not mean anything. However, it kind of does because there's 4 number 1 teams.
Bama State had Auburn by 2 points going into the second half. Let's completely be
I'm saying but the ranking, it traditionally means nothing. It just doesn't.
Ranking intimidates.
Right.
But we're not in the intimidation business. We're in the sports business. So let's wrap up today's show. My name is Khalid Gray. We appreciate you guys being here. I'm with my co-host,
Cohen Parker.
And we enjoyed you guys being here. We hope
Hold on. Please subscribe. Hit the notification. Do I have to tell y'all?
Oh,
we are so close to 1K.
Let's not scare them away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Forgive me. But we are so close to 1K. We have been working so hard. Everybody, Josh, Morgan, Tennille, he been, man, look.
Hey.
Nah, put me out the equation. Just them alone. Oh my goodness,
Him
they
too.
have.
Y'all gotta understand.
Well, thank you.
The whole Panther Sports Zone family loves you guys. And honestly,
we love y'all so much.
We appreciate you guys. Y'all have been doing a phenomenal job.
Oh, yeah.
Both people that are working in tech, people that are on the hosting,
Right.
the hosting desk. Each and every single episode. We will be having our final episode for the year next Monday. So. Like I said, it's been a great ride. I love this semester.
Man,
This semester has been phenomenal. Let's not cry. But, we do need to do. My name is Khalid, Gray.
I'm going fucking.
And we'll see you guys Monday, actually. But we will see you guys in the next episode of Across the Board and Panther Sports.
Bye, yo.